Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience. Hello and welcome back to Big LEZ'S League. I am your host, Big Les, and we're going to be going through the last two teams for this Rookie Watch series before the 2024 season gets underway. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube. Also follow Big LEZ'S League on Instagram, on TikTok, subscribe to Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe to those podcasting platforms and follow on Instagram and on TikTok, because those are growing substantially. We want you to be a part of the community. If you're as big as a footy nerd as I am, you better get in while you can. Big LEZ'S League on Instagram, Big LEZ'S League on TikTok. Let's get a big community built this 2024 season. So in this podcast, in the last Rookie Watch podcast, we're going to be going through the Bulldogs and the Broncos, just two teams for the last episode, but still plenty of rookies to go through here. We've got 6 for the Bulldogs, and then I think we've got 6 as well for the Broncos. We do too. So we've got 12 rookies to go through today just for 2 teams. It's the most amount of rookies for 2 teams that we've had, that's for sure. So let's get straight into it. We'll start off with the Bulldogs. We'll start off with Blake Taaffe. Definitely someone to watch here. Can play in the halves and can play at fullback. In the discussions for the fullback jersey as well, a lot of people are of the opinion, including myself, that Stephen Crichton needs to play in the centres. So Blake Taaffe, Connor Tracy, guys like that, they're in the conversation for that fullback spot. Blake Taaffe, I've been hearing a lot more times though. So Blake Taaffe, definitely one to watch, especially in the trials for the Bulldogs. If he does get a crack in the trials, I'd love to just see how he goes in that new kit with the new team as well. And I'd love to see him potentially get a crack at some point during the year. Stephen Crichton could potentially still get that fullback spot too. But as I said, a lot of people are pretty adamant that Crichton needs to be at centre because he's one of the best centres in the game, in the world. Stephen Crichton needs to stay at centre, and I'm of that opinion as well. So I'd love to see Blake Taaffe get a crack at fullback. I'd also love to see Connor Tracy, who's also on this list, I believe he's 26 years old as well, get a crack at that fullback jersey as well. We just watched him for the Cronulla Sharks, absolutely killing it while Will Kennedy was away at fullback. He loves that left-hand side of the park. He's almost like a second 5'8", like your Scott Drinkwaters, sometimes like your Ryan Pappenhausen's as well, like a second 5'8", just the way that they get themselves around the park. A really talented fullback, in my opinion, that I think should definitely be getting a crack in this Bulldogs side to start the year at number 1. He's my favourite for the fullback jersey. A lot of people, as I said, have Blake Taaffe, but I've got Connor Tracy for round 1. It's a bit of a smoky, but let's see how it goes. Connor Tracy, like a second 5'8". Blake Taaffe, he likes the right-hand side of the park, so it depends on the attacking style that Casaraldo wants to go with, whether he's going to be dominant more so down the left-hand side of the park or the right. If you want to go down the left, you've got to pick Connor Tracy, and I think that they are going to go down the left, considering they've got Viliami Kikau, they've got Matt Burton, they've got Joshua O'Carr, and they've got Stephen Crichton, potentially on that side as well. So you definitely want to be left side dominant. And if you want to be left side dominant, you've got to go with Connor Tracy because he suits the game plan. But Blake Taaffe, is equally as likely to get that jersey as well. And I'm keen to see what Cam Ciraldo does with this side for round 1 and what we do see going into the trials. But Blake Taaffe, Connor Tracy, 2 guys that you need to watch and very versatile as well. Connor Tracy can play in the halves, fullback, even at hooker if you really need him to. Blake Taaffe can play in both half spots and at fullback, and if you really need him to, in the centres as well. So 2 very versatile players. We talk about the Bulldogs having too many utilities. It's a great asset to have if you really do think about it. Guys that can play in multiple positions in your football side. So Connor Tracy and Blake Taaffe, 2 guys you really need to watch. Now, the next one is Bailey Biondi-Odo, a guy that had an ACL injury last season and obviously missed the full year in 2024, but he is one to watch. He is a chance for that jersey because he did mold himself into a hooker like they did with Jeremy Marshall-King only 2 or 3 years ago. Bailey Biondi-Odo, really talented footballer. He's someone that we really haven't seen his ceiling. A lot of people have forgotten that he exists because he has been out for the full year, but he's definitely one to watch, and he's definitely not one to underrate. I think that he's a guy that could definitely be in this Bulldogs side going into the 2024 season at some stage in that 14 jersey. But, they have got a bunch of 14s now. They've got Kurt Mann, they've got Drew Hutchison, they've got a few guys that can play that 14 role to a T and that have been playing it to a T for the past few years. Bally Beyonde Otto is going to be behind a few guys, but he's definitely not someone that you need to count out, that's for sure. Now, the next guy that everyone's going to be watching is Toby Sexton, obviously competing for that halfback spot with Drew Hutchison. Hutcho is someone that is Mr. Reliable. He's come in and he's done a really good job for the Roosters in that halfback job. Some would argue even got the Roosters to the finals on that late run that they had in the last few weeks of the regular season last year. But Toby Sexton, I feel like he deserves the first crack at the jersey. He's the young guy. He's the future. I want to see him and how he goes for the first few weeks. Granted, if he doesn't work in the first 6 to 8 weeks of the competition, then you can take him out. But for the first 6 weeks, I'm leaving him in there, and I'm saying that's your jersey. You show me that you deserve to be the number 7 for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. I think Toby Sexton needs to be given the reins at least for the first 6 to 8 weeks of the competition. So Toby Sexton, another guy that everyone needs to keep an eye on. When he first came in for the Bulldogs, he had a really great start. It was really impressive. The Bulldogs looked better with him in there for the first few weeks that he was in there. Obviously very unlucky to get concussion. And then obviously an injury that ruled him out for the rest of the year. So very unlucky with the circumstances, but I'm looking for him to have a big year in 2024. A little bit undersized, but he makes up for it with his attacking plays. Defense is a little bit of an issue for me. It was an issue when he was at the Titans, but I feel like they'd be working on that during the preseason at the Bulldogs, particularly with a much weaker pack than other teams in the competition. I think Toby Sexton's in for a big year. I think you need to keep an eye on him going into this season as well, especially if he's the 7 moving forward. Now, another guy that a lot of people have forgotten about is Chris Patolo. A real big fan of Chris Patolo, I am. I think that he's an absolute freak with the football in hand. Front rower with a lot of upside, a great offload, really strong, great flat footwork at the line, and a great offload on him as well. I think that he could be damaging in this Bulldogs side, and I think he's definitely someone that you need to watch out for. I do think that he can find a spot in the 17, obviously with Raymond Faitala-Mariner leaving to go to the St. George side. I think that he can find a spot in this team. It's just a matter of where. Is it starting? Is it on the bench? He's someone that a lot of people have forgotten about, but I think he will work his way at some point during the year into this 17. It's between him and then the next guy I'm going to talk about, Sam Hughes. Now, Sam Hughes has had a lot of footy in 2023. He played a lot towards the back end of the year and really made a name for himself coming off the bench for the Bulldogs. I think he started maybe 1 or 2 games as well, if I remember correctly, but I do remember him having big impact off the bench and being very highly rated coming into this Bulldogs side. Sam Hughes, Chris Patolo, there's going to be a bit of a battle there for jersey number 17, and I can't wait to watch it. But for the Bulldogs, you need to keep an eye on Sam Hughes, Chris Patolo, Toby Sexton, Connor Tracy, Blake Taff, and Bailey Beyonde Otto going into the 2024 season. And then the last team we're going to be going through for this Rookie Watch series is the Broncos. We have got 6 rookies to go through here. Let's get straight into it. The first one with Jesse Arthur sustaining an injury during the preseason. It could be a real opportunity for Dean Mariner to come into this Broncos side and really make a name for himself on the wing. Selwyn Cobbo is moved into the centres. You'd imagine Katoni Staggs would be at the other centre on the right-hand side, Selwyn Cobbo on the left. And then you'd obviously, depending on what you really want your side to look like, I'm hearing Corey Oates and Jesse Arthurs to start the year, but Jesse Arthurs obviously had the injury. So Dean Mariner, he is a real shot at getting that other wing spot. And Jesse Arthurs is a real shot of losing his spot throughout the year because Dean Mariner is an absolute weapon, and he is the future. So definitely one to watch there. Dean Mariner, great footwork, great agility, a really solid step on him. He's really good with the footy in his hands as well. He's got great ball skills and an offload. He's definitely someone that you need to watch going into this season. Jock Madden, the halfback that could replace Adam Reynolds when he does retire. I really do rate Jock Madden. I think every time he's come in, whether it be for the Tigers or the Broncos, has done a really solid job. He is someone that I'll definitely be keeping my eye on going into this year because, as we said, it is going to be Adam Reynolds' second last or last year in rugby league. You want to go ahead and find someone for the future, whether you go and buy someone, whether it's Josh Rogers, whether it's one of the other guys, or whether it's just Jock Madden. Going into this year, really had a bit of a mind blank then, but Jock Madden, I think, could be the future in the number 7. You need someone that can just play a role when you got a guy like Ezra Mam who can just do insane things with the football in his hands. You just need someone that can control the side and do the simple things right when you've got such a flary guy like Ezra Mam in your team. I think Jock Madden could definitely be the answer. I just want to see a lot more of him in 2024. And I can't wait to see if we do get to see a fair stint of Jock Madden. Hopefully not due to injury, maybe more so due to him coming into the side in the 14 or origin commitments and stuff like that. So certain guys coming out of the side. Or, resting people towards the back end of the year, especially in the trials. I think we'll see a good little bit of him in the trials. But yeah, I want to see a little bit more of Jock Madden, and I want him to have a few more opportunities in this side just to see if he could be the next man after Adam Reynolds. But I certainly at the moment think he could be. Tristan Saylor, a guy that wasn't going to be in this 17, or wasn't going to be in this squad, I should say. This season was going to get a Super League deal, but the Broncos denied his leave request. So he will not be able to leave the Broncos. He'll be staying there for this season. I think that's a good thing for Tristan Saylor and the Broncos, especially for the Broncos. He's such a talented footballer, can play in the halves, can also play at fullback. It'll be so handy, especially when and if Reece Walsh goes to Origin this year. I imagine he'll definitely be in the squad if he's not in the starting side. I think he cemented a spot at fullback, to be honest. So we could be seeing a lot more of Reece Walsh in Origin. But if and when Reece Walsh goes to Origin, we could definitely see Tristan Saylor get that fullback jersey again. And obviously when they rest people towards the back end of the year, he'll be getting a few more cracks in that fullback jersey. I really like him at fullback. I think that's his best position that I've seen him in. We obviously watched a lot of him play 5'8" at the Dragons. I think fullback is his best position, though. That's the position I've enjoyed watching him the most. I think fullback is the position, that second string fullback is the position for him at this stage in his career at the moment. And in this Broncos side, and I can't wait to see a little bit more of Tristan Saylor, but definitely one to keep an eye on. Now, the real guy to watch in this side, if you don't remember any of the guys I've just said, if you at least can remember just this one, Blake Mozer. Obviously, the next big thing coming out of the Brisbane system, as far as the fans are concerned, obviously the guy to take the 14 jersey reportedly. There was a spanner thrown in the works for sure when Tyson Smoothie was re-signed the other day, but I think Blake Mozer is still equally as likely to get that 14 jersey, and I think that he probably will towards the midpoint or the back end of the season. He could definitely be getting that 14 jersey put on his back. I hope he does too, because he is an absolute freak. A little bit taller than your average hooker, but his ball skills, his running game at a dummy half, and his recognition of the defensive line as well, and what plays to come up with, reading the defense really well, and then obviously summing up what he should do in attack. Is what I was trying to say then. His ability to do that is outstanding. So Blake Mozer, really highly touted Brisbane guy coming through in that hooking jersey that I think will be the future for the Brisbane Broncos at number 9. But I think he will get his hands on a 14 jersey at some point during the year. So definitely one to watch in the trials. It was outstanding in that under-19s Origin game as well. So as I said, definitely one to watch Blake Mozer. Ben Takura, another guy that's been highly touted coming out of this Brisbane Broncos system. I think he will get a spot in the 17 to start the year, just to really add a bit of oomph to their forward pack. He's bigger, reportedly bigger than Payne Haas, and it plays a front row, and he can also play in that back row role as well. So definitely one that I'll be watching going into this year. As I said, he will probably find his way into the 17, maybe straight away. I've got him in there straight away, but might have to wait a few more weeks before we do see him in first grade. But I'm definitely keen to see him come into first grade, rip and tear off the bench. I think it'd be great impact. And from watching him, little snippets of him in reserve grade, I think he could be the next big forward coming out of that Brisbane Broncos system. You've obviously got Payne Haas, you've got Paddy Carrigan. Adding Bentakura to this forward pack, it's just going to make things so unfair. It's going to make things so hectic going into this year. Their forward pack is going to be absolutely insane if it isn't already. And then the last guy that I want you to watch, the Kurt Capewell replacement, Brendan Piakura. On that left edge, I think he could be absolutely a handful for those edge defenders on the right-hand side opposition. I think that him on this left edge, it's just going to be so dynamic. A big guy, usually plays in the front row when he came in last year, but obviously more known as an edge player. Great ball skills as well. He's got a really decent offload on him, and especially when you're thinking about that left-hand side for the Brisbane Broncos, you probably would have Katoni Staggs going over to that left-hand side. And then you'd also have potentially Dean Mariner or a Corey Oates. I think Corey Oates is more likely to get that left-hand side with Cobbo and Dean Mariner on the right-hand side. But Brendan Piakura going down that left with Katoni Staggs on his side, I think is going to be fucking insane. And I can't wait. I cannot wait to see how Brendan Piakura goes in this team and how he goes as Kurt Capewell's replacement. Kurt Capewell was just the simple man that came in and did a job, but Brendan Piakura is going to be a really explosive and hard to handle back rower that's going to be a real handful for all of his defenders going into this 2024 season. They've got a really strong forward pack, including Brendan Piakura, Ben Takura, and you've also got Payne Haas, Paddy Carrigan, Fletcher Baker, Kobe Hetherington. You've got some absolute main names in the forward pack. It's going to be a big year for the Brisbane Broncos yet again this year. And then you add the talent of Dean Mariner, Jock Madden, Tristan Saylor, and Blake Mosey. You definitely got plenty of players to watch this 2024 season for the Brisbane Broncos. That was the last episode of the Rookie Watch. There won't be much on YouTube for a little bit. Give you some time to catch up on all the episodes you missed from the Rookie Watch series and from the Best 17 series as well. Make sure if you haven't already to subscribe to the YouTube, to subscribe to the TikTok, Instagram, following also the Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Audible as well, which is pretty weird, but I'm fine with it. Go ahead and subscribe to all our platforms, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.